Egusi soup is one of my favorite Nigerian soups, and today I will be showing you how I made this beautiful pot of goodness. This recipe is all that and so much more. I know I keep saying this for all of my recipes, but this one you don't want to miss out on at all. And before then, please subscribe to my channel. Please press that red button down there, please. Thanks. So to begin, we're going to boil some meat, and here I've got some goat meat and beef. I've also got some shaki and esero bokoto, and that's tripe and cow foot for those wondering. And to season, I will be using some blended onions as well as stock cubes and salt. I won't be using curry or thyme or any other spices for this, and that's because I will be cooking with the meat broth. For most Nigerian recipes, or for most traditional recipes, you really can't use those spices, so I'm going to be skipping those. And I will also be using some scotch bonnet peppers, and that's just for heat. So I won't be adding water at this time. I'm just going to cover and simmer for about 20 minutes, and this helps to intensify the flavor of the meat. And after 20 minutes, I will check back, and as you can see, there is more moisture in the pan than before. And to this, I will be adding just enough water to cook the meat. Please be careful when you're adding water, so you don't end up adding too much. You need your stock to be very flavorful and very concentrated. And then I will cover and leave this to cook until the meat softens. Since the meats have got different textures, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cook them together, and then I will take out the goat meat and beef when they're soft, and then continue to cook the cow foot and tripe until soft. After boiling the meat, you've got three options. You can either use the meat as they are, that's boiled, or you can fry, and the third alternative is to grill. I will be grilling mine. I really don't like fried meats when it comes to soups, because we will be using quite a lot of oil, so I'm just trying to avoid that. Anyway, I will be throwing this in my grill, and I will grill for about 20 minutes thereabout at 160 degrees Celsius. That's because I don't want it too dry. I still want it a bit juicy. And after grilling, this is what it looks like. As you can see, we have lost some meat along the way. I don't know what's happened to them. Anyway, I'm just going to set this aside. So for my egusi soup, I will be using some smoked fish as well as some locust beans. With the smoked fish, I have already cooked them. I did cook them a while ago, but then I put them back in my freezer. So I'm just going to pour some hot water over it, and then also pour some as well on the locust beans and soak for just about a minute, and then wash off. Now onto my pepper mix, and for this I will be using some onions, scotch bonnet peppers, bell peppers, chili, that's the smaller shombo, and also some paprika peppers, that's the long bell peppers. So and there's something that I learned recently that I thought I'd share with you. If I'm making soups now, I prefer to use peppers that aren't exactly fresh. I don't know how to really say, but the ones with like wrinkles on the side, sort of dehydrated, they taste so much better for soups because, they are more ripe and they don't have as much water content as the fresh ones. So it's something that I think you should try, because I tried it and honestly, I haven't looked back since then. So I will be preparing my peppers now, and what I will be doing is to chop them up, and I don't like to use the seeds as well, so I will be taking them out and then throwing them in my food processor. And this will be blended roughly. I know some people like to do a full blend. I really don't like it, and that's because I feel like it makes my soup a bit watery, and I'm trying to avoid that, and also it takes a while to fry. So after doing that, I'm just going to cover and then blend. And after blending, this is the ideal texture, well, for me anyway. So I'm just going to set this aside. Now it's time to prepare my egusi, and I'm just going to throw that in my blender, cover and blend until very fine. Onto the vegetable leaves, you can use pretty much anything you want. You can use ugu, shoko, uziza, bitter leaves, pretty much anything, spinach as well. But I will be using ugu, and can you believe I got this ugu about 4 days ago and it's still fresh? Well, let me tell you something I learned. So I took a rack and I placed it over a tray and then put the leaves on top. So every day I will just sprinkle with water like twice a day, and this has helped it to retain its color and it's still fresh. So it's something that I learned at the market, and I thought that I would share this with you as well. Anyway, so I will proceed to begin to pluck this. I will just be using the scissors because it's just much better that way. Ugu can be really tough, and I'm just going to pluck this off camera. After plucking the leaves, I will transfer them into a bowl and then pour some boiling water over the leaves. And this I won't be blanching because I know I did that with my efforiro recipe, and that's because I use spinach, and spinach is quite watery, so I won't be doing that on this occasion. And I'm just going to wash this as much as I can and then leave to soak for say just about 2 minutes, and then I will transfer this into my colander just to to sieve. In this process, I will repeat once again, and that's just so I'm able to get rid of as much dirt and debris or germs that's on the leaves. And because honestly, if you don't do this, you might just end up with an upset stomach because you never know what's on those leaves. And considering how much they have traveled, I really don't trust them at all. And after washing thoroughly, I will transfer them onto my chopping board and begin to slice. So usually with ugu, I tend to use really small pieces, but because this is egusi soup and I don't need too much vegetables, so I'm okay with doing bigger chunks. But please feel free to do whatever size that you prefer. And afterwards, I'm just going to transfer them into a bowl and then set aside for use later. And now we're back to the egusi. I'm just going to transfer it into a bowl and add some crayfish powder. I'm also going to add just a little bit of warm water and then mix until I get a very thick paste. Now you can also add some blended onions as well because this makes it more flavorful, but I just don't feel like on this occasion. I know some people also add eggs or something because it's supposed to make it lumpy. I've never tried that before because I've been asked about it a couple of times. I don't use eggs at all, and I'm not making lumpy egusi anyway. So I'm just going to set this aside for use later, but this is just me just showing you just how thick the consistency is. And after doing that, I'm just going to place a pan on medium heat, and when it heats up, I will be adding some palm oil. I know some people are thinking, all this oil, let God be judge, please. Anyway, and now I'm going to add some chopped onions, and this I'm going to fry for about 2 minutes. Please don't fry for too long, otherwise your soup is going to end up too sweet. Remember that egusi is sweet on its own already. And then after that, I will be adding some locust beans, and I will fry this again for just about 2 minutes as well, just to release the fragrance, just to release the aroma of the locust beans. I'm not going to re-record this part at all, just manage it. And then I will go in with some crayfish powder. Please do not fry your crayfish for more than 30 seconds, otherwise it's going to taste bitter and it will ruin the taste of your soup. I know I sound like a broken record now because I keep saying this in all of my soup videos, and that's because they all have the same base and the same prep. Anyway, I'm going to add my pepper mix now and also add some stock cubes and salt. And this I will mix thoroughly. Oh, I almost forgot. I will be adding my stockfish at this time, and that's because it's pre-cooked, but it's not as soft as I want it to be. So I'm just going to add it quite early, and then just mix thoroughly, cover and leave to fry for about 25 to 30 minutes. But please check on it every now and then so it does not burn. And after 30 minutes, this is what my stew looks like. As you can see, the oil has settled onto the top, and that's to let you know that it is quite dry at the moment. And then I'm just going to stir, and that's just to raise up whatever burnt bit, but I don't think mine has burnt at all. And to this, I will be adding my meat. I will also be adding some pomo. I forgot to mention earlier that I had some in my freezer, so I'm just going to add that to it and mix thoroughly. And this I will leave to fry for about 5 to 10 minutes. And after about 6 to 7 minutes, I will begin to add my smoked fish. And this I will mix thoroughly and then leave to simmer for say about 2 to 3 minutes, or just until the smoked fish absorbs the flavor of the stew. And at this time, I'm going to begin to add my meat broth. The amount you add is going to depend on whether you like your stew fluid or you like it thick. I prefer mine thick, so I'm just going to add just a little bit. And you can also use water, but bear in mind that if you add water at this time, you're going to dilute the flavors that you have built up along the way. So you're going to need to reseason. And I'm just going to mix thoroughly and then cover and leave to cook for about 2 minutes. And after 2 minutes, just see how gorgeous this stew looks. It already looks like proper fried stew. I mean, at this point, I just wanted to just boil rice and just eat with it. There is nothing as beautiful as just patiently frying your stew for efforiro or egusi soup. Honestly, the reward that comes out of that patience, it can't be matched with anything at all. Anyways, I'm going to start adding my egusi balls. I know I did say that I'm not making lumpy egusi, but this is the way to retain, that beautiful egusi texture even without the lumps. Because if it's too fluid, you wouldn't like. I don't know. It just looks a bit off if it hasn't got the texture to it. So this I'm just going to cover and then I will leave this to cook for about 10 to 15 minutes on low to medium heat. And you really want to make sure that your egusi is well cooked, otherwise you might end up with an upset stomach. It does take a while for egusi to fully cook, so be wary of that. Now after about 15 minutes, I will check back on the stew and then I will begin to break the egusi balls. Now it's up to you. If you want your egusi lumpy, what you can do is you can sort of break into halves. So one half is fully mixed and the other half is left lumpy. But I don't want my lumpy at all. I just want that texture to it. So at this point, I will begin to add my ugu leaves. Now, if you're going to be using some bitter leaves or uziza, now is the time to add that as well. I'm only using ugu and that's fine with me. And I will add it gradually as well so I don't end up with too much leaves in it. And now I will add a bit of meat stock as well. If you haven't got that, you can use water, and that's just to make it a bit more fluid. And then go in with some crayfish. Now, the reason for adding crayfish at the end is just so I don't end up using too much salt or seasoning cubes. Crayfish works so beautifully well for soups. And then I will leave to simmer for 2 minutes. And this is what it looks like. Absolutely beautiful. This is my ideal egusi, and that's because I can use it for rice, I can use it for swallow, whatever, it just goes beautifully well. So if you've enjoyed this recipe, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share, like, comment, and if you do replicate this recipe, please let me know how you get on. I'd love to read from you. And I hope to see you in my next video. Until then, bye.